Hey there, and welcome to This Explainer. You know, if you've ever felt like your marketing is just, well, shouting into the void, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're taking high-level marketing strategy and turning it into a practical, actionable toolkit to help you capture your ideal customers. We're going to break down exactly how the most successful brands find the people who actually need their product, and more importantly, how they communicate that value to cut through all the noise.
Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. We're going to start by busting the mass marketing myth and then walk through a four-step framework: market segmentation, market targeting, differentiation, and product positioning. Finally, we'll wrap the whole thing up by looking at the winning value proposition. Think of this as our journey down the funnel, starting way up top with a massive, chaotic, global market, all the way down into the highly targeted mind of a single customer. Section 1, the mass marketing myth and the illusion of universal appeal. Every single business starts with this core problem, right? You've got a great product, but you might not know exactly who buys it or why they'd prefer it over something else out there. Which brings us to a really vital question. Can you actually make everyone happy? Historically, companies actually tried to do this. They'd use an undifferentiated strategy, basically ignoring market differences and blasting the whole world with one identical offer. And hey, it sounds highly efficient in theory. But in today's hyper-competitive digital landscape, where ad costs are skyrocketing and consumer attention is totally fragmented, focusing only on what's broadly common usually means failing to meet anyone's specific needs. When you try to speak to everyone, you end up resonating with absolutely no one. The reality is, the answer is a hard no. Not even Meta tries to make everyone happy with one product. Facebook was the ultimate blueprint for a social network, but as their user base exploded, it naturally diversified. Younger generations wanted formats that were more visual or interactive or private. Now, just imagine if Meta had tried to cram all of Instagram's heavy visual focus and WhatsApp's messaging utility right into the main Facebook app. It would have created a bloated, completely unusable product that alienated their core users. Instead, they acquired those separate platforms. By doing this, Meta built a differentiated portfolio of segmented brands that reaches 2.5 times as many users as Facebook ever could on its own. They target the diverse needs of different segments with specialized tools. So how do we emulate that kind of precision? Well, you use the STDP framework, which basically forms the ultimate customer value-driven marketing strategy. Step 1 is segmentation, dividing the market. Step 2 is targeting, choosing exactly who to serve. Step 3 is differentiation, creating superior value. And step 4 is positioning, occupying a clear place in the consumer's mind. All right, let's move to step 1, market segmentation, or as I like to call it, slicing the pie. Market segmentation is the strategic process of taking this massive market and dividing it into smaller, distinct, and highly manageable sections of buyers who share unique needs, characteristics, or behaviors. Think of a massive, heterogeneous consumer market as a giant, jumbled box. And this brilliantly illustrates how we slice that giant, jumbled box into manageable pieces. Marketers generally look at 4 main variables. You might divide them geographically, looking at nations, regions, or even specific neighborhoods. Or you might divide them demographically by age, gender, and income, which is actually the most popular method used today. But you can go even deeper. There's psychographic segmentation, dividing buyers by social class, lifestyle, or personality traits. And finally, behavioral segmentation, which zeroes in on consumer knowledge, attitudes, or their specific responses and loyalty to a product. Let's see how this builds in the real world with Axe deodorant. Axe doesn't just use demographic gender to sell their products. They layer multiple segmentation bases for maximum value. Behaviorally, they segment by form preferences, like offering invisible solids, roll-ons, or body sprays, depending on what the user actually prefers to apply. Then psychographically, they segment based on lifestyle occasions, designing specific lines for dating, grooming, or natural living. They take a huge, incredibly generic market for personal care and carve out highly specific slices. This lets them speak directly to the exact needs of subgroups within that broader market. Moving on to step 2, market targeting, or picking your battles. Because slicing the pie is only half the job, now you have to choose which slice you actually want to eat. Once the market is divided, you have to evaluate each segment's size, its growth potential, and its structural attractiveness. And listen, just because a segment is the largest doesn't mean it's the right fit for you. If it's already flooded with aggressive competitors, it's structurally unattractive. You've got to pick the target that aligns perfectly with your specific resources. To see this in action, we can contrast the two extremes, undifferentiated mass marketing versus micro-marketing. While mass marketing throws a wide, generic net, micro-marketing is the practice of tailoring products to suit the exact taste of specific individuals and local areas. A fantastic example from our source data is the Slutty vegan food truck based in Atlanta. They didn't target the broad fast food market. Instead, they engaged in hyper-local targeting and positioned themselves as vegan junk food. They focused on specific communities, particularly communities of color, that were heavily overserved by traditional fast food, but heavily underserved by fun, tasty vegan options. This shows us that in a crowded digital age, going hyper-niche and serving a specific community deeply often generates far more organic loyalty than casting a wide generic net.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer scale of the number. $1.1 billion. That is the calculated hospital-related market potential for a specialized piece of tech called the Lucid robotic system. It uses AI and ultrasound to identify candidates for life-saving stroke treatments. Now, they aren't mass marketing this to the general public or even to every single doctor out there. They are specifically targeting the 4,400 U.S. hospitals that have emergency departments, and they price it at $250,000 per system. By rigorously calculating the exact size of an incredibly niche segment, they didn't just find a few buyers, they revealed a highly profitable billion-dollar opportunity that was just hiding in plain sight.
Okay, step 3, differentiation, standing out. So you've sliced the market and you've picked your target. Now, how do you actually stand out when your customer has other choices? Well, you have to differentiate your market offering to create genuinely superior customer value.
But here is an absolutely critical word of caution. You cannot just be different for the sake of being different. Promoting too many weak differences just creates clutter and drives up your operating costs. To truly stand out, your competitive advantage has to hit a very high bar. It needs to be distinctive and superior to alternatives, for sure, but it also has to be preemptive, meaning it can't be easily copied by a competitor the moment you launch it. It has to be communicable so buyers actually understand the benefit. And most importantly, it has to be affordable for the buyer and profitable for you to maintain. If your differentiator doesn't meet these criteria, it's honestly just noise that eats into your margins.
We now arrive at the final step of our framework. Step 4, product positioning, which is all about occupying the mind. Product positioning is the way a product is defined by consumers on important attributes. It's the exact space your offering occupies in the minds of your targeted consumers relative to competing products. So if differentiation is what you do to the product itself, positioning is what you do to the customer's perception. Finally, we reach the winning value proposition, crafting your offer. The value proposition represents the full overarching positioning of a brand. This is the direct answer to the ultimate customer question: why should I buy your brand over another? We can rapidly compare some common value propositions right here. More for more involves providing the most upscale product and charging a premium to cover the higher costs. Think of a luxury brand like Rolex. On the flip side, the same for less can be an incredibly powerful proposition because, well, everyone loves a good deal. This is the territory of generic store brands that offer comparable quality to name brands, but at a steep discount. Now, according to marketing techs, the absolute winning value proposition is more for less, giving the highest quality at the lowest price. However, our sources warn that this is incredibly difficult to sustain in the long run. Offering more inherently costs the company more, making it super tough to simultaneously charge less without destroying your profit margins. You really have to carefully choose the proposition that matches your actual operational capabilities. To ensure your entire team is aligned, you should craft a formal positioning statement using this exact template favored by top marketers. To target segment and need, our brand is concept, that point of difference. So if we were launching a new productivity app, it might sound a little something like this. To busy freelance graphic designers who need to manage multiple projects, our app, Design Flow, is a task management tool that natively integrates with your favorite design software to save you 3 hours a week. By filling in these brackets, you crystallize your entire strategy. Once you choose this position, every single marketing effort your company makes must clearly communicate and support this core statement. A successful marketing strategy isn't about guessing. It's about systematically slicing the market, targeting the right groups, finding meaningful ways to stand out, and firmly claiming your territory. So, the crucial point is, I want to leave you with this provocative final thought. What space does your product actually occupy in your customer's mind? If you don't know the precise answer to that, it might be time to take another trip down the funnel. Thanks for exploring this topic with me, and I really hope this helps you build some incredible value for your customers.